Alright guys, so this is going to be a video showing off the entire garden. In the last video I did just the fig orchard, but now we're going to be looking at everything that I'm growing and just kind of see how it's laid out. And definitely need some TLC as I've not been focusing on gardening as much as I should. But I'll just show you what I got and how it's doing, and we'll check everything out. By the way, Frodo's going to be helping with the tour. So Frodo, hey buddy, gotta make sure I watch him because he likes to run away. Come on buddy, let's go in the garden. All right, so if you notice, the figs are now in the garden. They were in a different spot. This is I consider this my Hail Mary, where the only thing I can think that the reason why the figs are not that sweet is that they're not getting enough sun. So I moved them over here. It's about the same amount of sun. They were originally like down there, but it's about the same amount of sun as the other spot, but this is more like peak afternoon sun. So maybe, the other side was like morning sun. So maybe, just maybe, they get enough intense sun here to sweeten these figs. And it's just better. I mean, it makes sense. They should be in the garden. By the way, oh, it's right here. Got one of my figs. It's close to being done. Pretty soft, but yeah, hopefully that saves the day. I'm running out of fig season time, but yeah, I've kind of set them up in rows here. Here's one row, and then here's the other row, and then the final row. So I can easily walk, fertilize, and the way the sun, also the pigs can watch over them. The way the sun kind of goes like this angle, so it hits them. So that's kind of why they're in rows like this. So there they are. So we'll start. Well, yeah, here's the figs. Here's a cucumber that is either just old or just, I don't know, not doing well. I got a couple cucumbers. You can see there's one forming right here. They weren't very good. They were very bitter. I think it just, I don't know. You can see there's some greenage here, but they were not good. But it was fun growing nonetheless. Unfortunately, I have two, it's kind of hard to see here, but this was a yellow raspberry. This one right here was a yellow raspberry, but they're dead. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they died, but maybe I don't know. Raspberries are kind of like weeds, so maybe they'll come back. So moving down, this is another yellow raspberry. This one's doing good, and they produced a decent amount of fruit this season, so not too bad. Right here is the red, it's called a Nova raspberry, and then here is another. This one's not doing too great, but this one is also a red Nova raspberry. Down here I got really nothing except for my pawpaw tree, which this was the most expensive tree that I bought. It was like $50 if you don't count the fig trees. They're very slow growers. This one's called a Shenandoah pawpaw, and we move back down here towards the raised beds. This is my other pawpaw, and a deer ate all the leaves off of the stem. It still has some, but they're starting to brown. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it's getting too much sun, because pawpaws actually prefer the shade when they're growing up. They're kind of, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't die. This is my tomato / pepper raised bed. This was kind of, my dad built this raised bed, and this is his plants he started from seed. And man, I tell you, he did not baby them at all. And I babied mine, and it's doing so much better than mine. He just kind of threw them in the bed, so unorganized. They're looking kind of rough now because I think it's the end of the tomato season. And these are determinate tomatoes. I think I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's like determinate and indeterminate, where the cherry tomatoes are indeterminate, I think, or I might have it backwards, where basically they produce fruit all season long. These, they produce fruit and then they're done. So we got a couple still on here, but I have had so many freaking tomatoes this season. This was a big success. They were really good. Over here too, I've got a purple cayenne pepper. This was from a friend actually who didn't have time to grow them. So I was like, hey, I'll take them and grow them. I've been giving them the peppers when they're ready. Look at this tomato plant growing out of this stem here. It's like a fresh new tomato plant. Anyways, these are like sweet, I think they're called like Chinese pepper. It's just your typical green pepper. And these are all doing well. They're still flowering, so we might get more fruit. But they're little, they're not too big, but they're delicious. This one doesn't have any, yeah. And I think the deer have been eating, deer or maybe it's a worm, but this looks like a deer bite. I don't know. The deer have been a big problem. I need to, number one, I need to build a gate there to make sure, because there's fencing all around the garden, but I mean, they could easily jump over the fencing, but I've heard that even if it's just a little bit of fencing, why is my dog eating my raspberry? Hey, don't eat that. What are you doing? I don't know. I've heard that, yes, they can jump over fencing, but sometimes if there's even a little bit of an obstacle, they'll choose not to do it because they want the easiest path possible. So even if you put a little bit of fencing, it can still keep them out. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Anyways, here's the other raised bed. This one was really awesome. I grew some kale here that was just really good early on in the season. I'm trying to get them to survive the hot summer months, but unfortunately they're being eaten. But they are growing new leaves here. So if they can survive to fall, they'll start producing a lot of leaves that are good. The hotter it gets, the more bitter the leaves get. I also got another pepper here. This is from my seed that I have. They're different from these. That's why it's in this raised bed. These are my lettuce that have bolted because it's so hot, and I just let them bolt, and maybe they'll drop some seeds that will turn into some fresh lettuce around the garden. Just let it go wild. These are my carrots. So they're actually doing pretty well. Grew these from seed. I'm very impressed on how they're doing. Let's go ahead and pull one out and just see how it is. There we go. Not bad. It's a little small. We'll give it a Frodo. Come here, buddy. Where are you? Frodo, come here. I got a treat for you. Come here. Look at him. He's just like, what? What do you want? Come here. Come here. There you go. He loves to wander off, so I gotta watch him. Come here. You want a carrot? You love carrots, huh? Here. There you go. See if he eats it. Oh, no, don't bring shame. Don't bring shame to the family. He doesn't eat. Oh, come on. Come on, eat it. Eat it, buddy. He doesn't like it. Wow. The biggest insult. Over here, I've got some beans that did not do well. They grew a little bit, but they were delicious. They were really good, but they didn't do well. And then I got some cucumbers over here that unfortunately did not fruit at all. I got another one over here. I don't see anything. They grew flowers, but they never pollinated, so unfortunate. Over here is my wild muscadine, and you can see this is so cool. It did grow fruit, not a ton, but there's some berries here, and it's hard to tell. My shadow's kind of covering it. There they are. They're actually, I thought they were gonna be green muscadines. They're purple muscadines. They're so good. They taste like cotton candy. It is so sweet. Oh. And they're everywhere. Look at this. This is all muscadine vines right here. And I cut down a tree. It's kind of hard to tell. Stumps right there. I had to cut down a tree that had muscadine growing on it, and I didn't know because it was during winter. But thankfully this vine survived, and we were actually able to get some fruit off of it, which there's a male muscadine like down there that I took to pollinate this one. So I just broke off the leaves and I pollinated this one, and it created some fruit, and it's pretty good for a wild muscadine. It's very, very sweet. Over here, this is an empty raised bed. I put in some really cheap soil that killed my tomatoes, so I never replaced it. I just didn't get to it. I got a little statue. This is Saint Fianca, I think is how you pronounce it. He's an Irish saint of gardening. I just thought it'd be cool to get some statues in here. So he watches over the raised beds. Over here, I got a ragtag mix of different stuff. I've got some more purple cayenne grown over there. I also grew some California Reapers. Got an eggplant. It's kind of turning a gross color. I don't know if it's gone bad, but it's really small. It didn't really grow much here. I don't know what it is about this soil. This right here is a lemon basil. Kind of helps the tomatoes. And these tomatoes here not doing well. This is what I meant. Like, I babied these, and look at these compared to these who weren't babied. Maybe that was the trick. I can't baby them. Where's Frodo? Frodo! Oh, okay, he's under the porch. But yeah, so actually these tomatoes here, these two, I rescued them from that raised bed. I got much better soil here, and they kind of recovered. Here's a little tomato. Here's a little tomato. Let's see. Looks okay. Go ahead and eat it. Very good. Very sweet. So over here, next to the wild muscadine, I've got mint, which will eventually take over the garden. But I'm okay with that because I'm actually going to turn it into tea. I'll dry the leaves. And I actually have some stevia, which I'm growing, which I'll show a little bit later. This is pineapple mint. Not doing amazing. Kind of fell over. It grew really tall. It looks like it's flowering. But this is pineapple mint. I'm sure it will cover. Mint's really resilient. This is chocolate mint. And this is all over the place. And it just, when you pick it and you eat it, it tastes like a peppermint patty. Over here, this is, oh, my battery's dying, so I need to hurry up. This is, I think this is spearmint, and this is peppermint. So that's all my mints. Over here, I have a cherry tomato that I grew in a container, which I was gonna eat this one, but unfortunately something else did. But unfortunately one day it came out and all the leaves were gone because I think they're called like hornworms or something. They love tomato plants, so they ate it all. Right here is a pomegranate bush. It's called a dwarf pomegranate bush. It makes like really pretty red flowers. It's not really for fruiting. I didn't realize that until after I bought it. So it's just in here to try to attract the bees or whatever. This right here is called a wonderful, I think, pomegranate. It's really, really young. Hopefully it grows up next year. Here's another cucumber plant on the edge here. This is an extra little European grape plant that my fiance's brother gave me, so I just kind of put it in here, and I'm gonna let it grow on the fencing, see how it does. It's doing okay. Over here, I've got it's something that's being eaten. It's a peach. It's called a Hailhaven Peach. There's actually a little bug on here. I don't know if you can see it. Anyways, this is Hailhaven. This is a little strawberry container that I have that the deer just absolutely decimated. I only got like 4 or 5 strawberries from it, but they're actually recovering. So hopefully the deer do not eat it. They ate so much of my garden, but they're coming back. Ooh, there's a big spider right there. Holy crap. Defending the fruit. So really quick, this over here actually did the best out of anything in my garden, which was my blueberries. I had so many blueberries this year, and I just planted them for the season. So these right here, this one and this one's not doing as well. These are called sunshine blueberries, and they're actually container blueberries, but I decided to just put them in the garden, whatever. This is called a Brightwell blueberry. This one right here is called a Climax blueberry, which is a funny name. This is another Brightwell. I kind of staggered them so they kind of pollinated each other. This is called a Tiff Blue blueberry, which is turning kind of like a red. I don't know if it's dying or that's just what it does. This is a red, it's called or pink lemonade, which actually makes red berries that are twice as sweet. Right here is another Tiff Blue. And then right here is another pink lemonade. And they all made a ton of fruit and it was awesome. So down here, I got some watermelon. It's called Black Diamond, but unfortunately, it didn't do so hot. This soil that I bought for my raised beds and for this, it just doesn't seem good. It doesn't seem good. So next year I might have to try to do something different. This is my Stevia, which I'm growing in containers because they don't really last the winter. Stevia, you pick them during fall, and that's when the leaves are super sweet tasting. So you pick the leaves and then you dry them out, and then you can grind them up and you can make your own Stevia sweetener. So pretty cool. Down here is my Blackberries. These struggled at first, but they're recovering. They didn't really produce a lot of fruit. Here's one, here's two. So this one's doing really good. 3, 4. Here's another good one. Really growing well. 5. So that's my little blueberry lane, I guess. Or blackberries, not blueberries, blackberries. This is another peach tree. It's always good to have multiple because they kind of pollinate each other. But this one is actually a peach and that one is a nectarine. The only difference between a peach and a nectarine is the fuzz. If it doesn't have fuzz, it's a nectarine. If it does have fuzz, it's a peach. It's like a genetic mutation or something. Down in the corner of the garden, this is my persimmon tree. This is, I think, a fall producing fruit. But I've never had a persimmon. The deers love persimmon, so I'm sure they're gonna eat it up anyways. But yeah, they make like this orange looking fruit. And this is a self-pollinating oriental persimmon, which what happens is when it's ripe, you don't eat it right away. You have to let it sit and get gooey and soft, because if you eat it right away, it'll be chalky, like a chalky flavor. Over here, this is a little outside my garden. It's kind of the edge of my property. There's actually a ton of wild blackberries, which were super delicious. So they're all done growing now. But it's really nice because it kind of keeps wild animals at bay. They'll eat this instead of my garden. But I also ate some, and when they were ripe, they were really good. So they're kind of growing wild. It's hard to tell, but they're in there. And there's a ton of wild blackberries growing in the garden that I have to cut back. Right here is my cultivating Muscadine grapes, which this one's called a Noble. It's a black Muscadine. Apparently it's really good for wine, which I might make, but I'm just waiting for it to grow up to my trellis, which I built, which is just 3 pieces of wood. We got some wiring, and then I got these special little gadgets that you drill in, and it grabs the wire. So if it ever starts to sag, over time, or the weight of the grapes, you can just pull it back. So yeah, I've got a wine making one. This one is, like I said, it's a Noble Muscadine. And then I have another one which is really struggling, but it's still alive. It didn't grow much. It's called a Triumph Muscadine. This one is actually bred from the University of Georgia, which the University of Georgia has the world's largest muscadine vineyard. It's actually in Tifton, Georgia, which is kind of in the middle of Georgia. It's a couple hours away from me. Got a pineapple here growing in a container because I'm gonna have to bring it in during winter. This is called a Jade pineapple or something. It's like they grow white pineapples, like the meat inside is white and it's super sweet, but it's gonna be a couple of years. I didn't realize that when I bought it. So I think that's everything that I grew this year. I don't think I'm missing anything, but that is my garden. You can see I've got a lot of space left to add more stuff. It's just I gotta save money. I spent a lot of money on all these plants here, so I think next year I'll just slowly fill it in. I think I'll do a lot of just flowers too, even if they don't produce fruit. Just like flowers, they attract pollinators. So I'll make it a really nice, just like garden slash food, you know, kind of garden, just to attract pollinators and just make it a nice place. I might even plant some of these trees. There's plenty of space in here to plant them. So I'll plant a couple of the, I think I mentioned this in the last video, I'll plant a couple varieties that I don't care too much about, that aren't super rare. That way if I move, I won't miss them, but I don't really plan on moving for a long time. So yeah, that's the garden, guys. That wraps it up. So it's only the beginning. This is the first year. I think it's pretty good for the first year. I think I will, you know, add about the same amount as much next year. But I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for hanging out and checking out the channel. And that is my garden. I'll keep you updated throughout the years and everything.